guys, I'm here with Journey to Truth, aka Tyler and Aaron, and they're like good friends of mine. And I've had them on a long time ago, but then I've traveled like the world with them the last couple of years, and then I still haven't had them on again, so you haven't like heard back from them. And look, I'm wearing their t-shirt. It says Journey to Truth, except I think it's all backwards. Anyway, welcome guys. Hi.
How's it going?
Hey,
Good to be back.
yeah, good
Yeah.
to be here.
Okay, so there we have a lot of stuff to catch up, and I don't even know where this conversation is going to go. But like, they've both written books. Did you guys get the exact same publisher? Because they're like carbon copies of like the same size, kind of.
Just through Amazon KDP. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Ah, okay.
Self-published through Amazon, but no, it literally we didn't coordinate any of that.
Yeah,
It
because
just
Aaron wrote
happened.
his like 2 years ago, and then
Yeah.
Tyler, you're basically like a year ago now. Is that
Yeah.
what we're looking at?
Yeah.
So yeah, this one's Aaron's. That they both are very good books, actually. And I
Thank
think
you.
my name's actually mentioned in both of them. So that's even more motivation
Yep.
for people to go buy these. Um, yeah.
Exactly. If nothing else,
If
because your
nothing
name.
else, yeah, do that. Okay. Now, also, they just did a documentary film about the SSP people, and it's called something about green doors. I went and saw it.
A lifetime of silence behind the green door. Yeah.
I was gonna say I thought
And
that was a
it's
green door thing. Okay.
yeah, so it's a lifetime of silence behind the green door. It's named after a military patch for a black budget program, a secret program, and it is on its way to the streaming platforms now. We submitted it. It's on our Patreon now if anybody wants to watch it, but we're just kind of waiting for it to be accepted onto places like Amazon Prime, Roku, other places to
Okay.
be. So that's like a waiting game for us now, but it is on its way, and we're very proud of that. So
And it's like a real film, y'all. Like I went to the premiere in like a little movie theater and it was like legit. Like it was like a legit movie. I know it's like all people are getting spoiled with all this free content on YouTube and you're all spoiled right now. But the thing is like this was like a like legit movie where they did like footage and they did B-roll shit and interviews and like people talking like this and in their living room. Yeah, it's like a full-blown documentary. So
Well,
congratulations on getting that out.
yeah,
thank
thank you.
you. We put a lot of time and energy into making it good. So thank you for that feedback.
Okay, and
Yeah,
then the other
Yeah.
other cool thing I have to say at the beginning before we start talking about 5D crazy is they have this. I spoke in their conference last May, or was that April? Like
May.
last year,
May.
May.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this April they have another conference and they only have like a couple more tickets left. So if you guys aren't looking to doing anything and you have the means and the time, like you highly recommend they're going to Hawaii and like swimming with dolphins and doing another conference. And so wait, tell the details about that conference.
Yeah, it's much smaller. It's more intimate. It's about half the people of the Grafton conferences, so about 100 people total. That includes the speakers and volunteers, everybody, roughly around that number. And it's a little more intimate. We're going to be going to some sacred sites, Volcano National Park. We're getting out on a boat, going in the water. It's technically illegal to swim with dolphins in Hawaii, so we're going to be snorkeling and potentially having an encounter.
You can't do anything if they come up to you.
Right. Right.
Right.
So,
But we can't advertise it as that,
yes,
basically.
which is silly, and there's a whole thing behind that. But it's coming up April 20th through the 24th on the Big Island, and you can find tickets on our website, journeytotruth.online. There really are only a few spots left. So, if you're interested, grab a ticket, and if you can't make it, then virtual passes are available for only $55 if you just want to tune in to the presenters, while we're there. So
Well,
that's a
who were
cool
the
option.
presenters? Like, give me the list.
Laura Eisenhower, Arcturus Ra, Heidi Tehana. So she's one of the girls helping us put it on. They do dolphin retreats all the time and whale retreats all the time. So she's like one of the people helping us put it on. Jean-Charles Moyen and his wife, he has an amazing story about teleportation and secret space program stuff. And then Sky Cubby, who's local to the island, he is a holistic hacker. So he's going to be talking about like I guess 5D health, like just new ways that we can like explore all these holistic remedies that none of us really know how to use or know about. Cara Bernarda, she is on Kauai, the other another
Hawaii.
island.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she is coming over and she has an amazing talk on resonance and like quantum like frequencies and stuff moving forward into like understanding that better. And her talk really is going to dovetail well with Arcturus Ra, who's going to be speaking about all the same similar stuff. And I'm speaking myself,
And Debbie Solaris.
Debbie
Also.
Solaris. Yeah, so
Yeah.
she's like a galactic historian. She's going to be getting into like the Lemurian past of Hawaii and Easter Island and all the stuff in the Pacific over there. So
Cool. Yeah. So if you guys can't go in person, get I mean, like do a online thingy. I think you should do it. Okay, so now let's talk about crazy shit. Okay, so like basically, let's see. I mean, Aaron and I have gone to Japan and Peru together, and then Tyler and I have gone to like Belize together. We've all been to done like a crazy trip in like Mount Shasta. We've met up in Sedona. Like, see, we've done some traveling stuff. We've
We
done
did
Devil's,
Chaco Canyon
oh
shipwreck,
yeah, Devil's Tower,
yeah,
Devil's Tower.
Chaco Canyon. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, so like, where should we? Okay, now, my people are more megalithic people than UFO people, even though I do have some UFO stuff and there is some crossover and they usually like that stuff too. But like tell me like all the like I don't know, whatever the sites that we've gone to, like what do you guys now think of megaliths that how's that changed for you guys in the last 2 years?
Man, well, I'll
Yeah, you
jump in
go.
first, and then Aaron, you can take over. So whenever we met, I mean, it's always been a fascination of ours, and mine
Mhm.
personally. We actually did a documentary before this secret space program, one on the Cahokia Mounds, which is an
Mhm.
ancient site in the Midwest.
And I've also been to that with you guys a couple times too.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, so there's a whole crazy history there, and basically, after I've been traveling and going to these places. It becomes very apparent that the history they tell us is just bogus, which you know and your audience knows. But to me, it's even more multidimensional than that. Like that we're talking like I know you have theories on like the people who built these don't think the same way that we think. There was like an entirely different realm or world like the laws of physics were different. Like something was different about our reality that allowed these structures to be built. Gigantic stone structures could have been even built in another dimension, or there's other components to these in other dimensions. I think they're portal sites potentially. I think there's so much going on with them, and none of them are built by the people that we were told they were built by. There's obviously giant involvement, and to me, it's absolutely fascinating. And some of these sites seem to just kind of be popping up out of nowhere. Like, how did I never know about this my whole life? Almost as if two timelines are converging, and suddenly we're just mixed in with this other reality, and there's a full history of this site that should have been in our textbooks, but it's not, and here it is. I think I think we are moving. I don't know if we're just raising our frequency and like matching these higher realms as we ascend, and they're just becoming visible. I think what I'm trying to say is there is a physical aspect to it, but really we're talking about a whole multi-dimensional reality that we just don't simply understand yet. And I think traveling these different sites has, to me, proves that a lot of the stories and the history is just a cover. And I do believe there are groups that know the true history of some of these sites, but they try to, that's the occult knowledge that the secret societies hold on to. But it's coming out. I just saw floating around the internet, they're talking, some guys talking about the government knows of a portal site and they built a facility to conceal it. Like they understand that these national parks and these ancient sites are, in fact, multidimensional gateways and stargates. There's so much. You just can't rule it out anymore. And it's constantly changing and unfolding in front of us. And I think it's amazing. And I know, you guys have gone to some amazing places that I wasn't able to come to, but I know like the whole list of stargates recently is like going around the internet. I think it came from like Ashiana Dean's work, but one of them is Peru, Lake Titicaca. Another one is Sedona, where I'm at right now, Sarasota, Florida. So they're places that we've all been to and we frequent, but I don't
Mhm.
think people understand how to access that stuff. But we're talking about and I think these sites are much older than we're ever supposed to understand. Like I think humanity was around for a long time before the whole, the biblical narrative came into play. I think there were many civilizations before that for potentially millions of years. And I think we're just now uncovering all this stuff, and it's exciting.
And what's your, give me a spiel, Aaron. What's your spiel on the
I
megaliths?
mean, I second everything Tyler everything
I think
Tyler
that, yeah.
said. Very well said. Yeah, like Tyler said, I actually have been into this kind of stuff for a long time, pretty much since what I call my awakening back in 2012. I mean, I was following Graham Hancock back then. I One of the first books in this whole realm I bought was Fingerprints of the Gods
Same.
by
Yeah.
Graham Hancock. Yeah, and that book's phenomenal, and I get, for us now that's kind of, I guess you could say, entry level, kind of stuff. But it's still like it's covering like the fact that, hey, there were way more advanced civilizations going back many thousands of years in the past. All the evidence points to that, and we're at the very least being lied to by omission, at the very least, from all our institutions, right? Not telling us this history, but we're also being lied to about these sites and a lot of these things we're finding where the mainstream narrative is clearly, it doesn't add up at all, right? It doesn't line up with what we're seeing, and so many data points about these sites don't add up, of the mainstream narrative that we're told, right? So clearly all the information points to there were extremely advanced civilizations going back way before, we're only taught like 6 or 7 thousand years of human history, right? We're told before that we were just all primitive, and you know we couldn't really do much, and we're so yeah, I've actually been, but I don't know, I've had a, let's say, a very wide net for a long time since
Yeah.
my awakening, of like I've been very into the whole UFOs and ETs and galactic stuff, and then the truther stuff, and then the spiritual information, and then the ancient megalithic and ancient civilization stuff as well. So I've been into all of it for the last, what, 14 years now.
But in the last, I
Um,
guess you went to Egypt like 3 years ago. Is that like,
I Yeah, I went to
yeah,
Egypt with my wife Amanda, almost exactly 3 years. Yeah, about exactly 3 years ago
yeah.
now.
And then,
Um,
but so since then, it's like you've really, like, you've done Egypt, Peru, Japan, like you've done a lot
yeah,
in a short period of time. So, and
yeah,
it's
that
the
was
same
really
thing
the
with you, Tyler.
first.
Tyler just did Egypt last year, and then it's like, and like he did a bunch of we did the Belize, Mesoamerica, like pyramids and stuff together. And oh yeah, actually we just got back from Mexico. Aaron forgot to talk about that one. We went to Mexico
Yep,
City and did
Teotihuacan,
the
Mexico.
Tehuacan. But anyway, like now that you guys have seen some stuff in person, like does it solidify it more for you or make it more? Because it did for me.
Yeah,
Because like it's and like some people think that you don't have to see it in person to really grasp it. And I mean, like if you can't physically or whatever your circumstances are that you can't, like you can't, right? But if you have the means or if you have a way of making that into your life, I personally think like going and seeing megalithic sites, like there's an energetic component that is like you really you don't even understand it while it's actually even happening to you, but it's really there. So yeah, can either of you speak to that?
I liken it to anywhere everyone's experienced this. They travel and they try to take a picture of what they're seeing and they look at it and they're like, man, the camera just doesn't do it justice. That's the reality of the situation. Like the camera doesn't do it justice. You have to go and feel the energy, right? And everything just looks different. The perspectives are different. And like touching the stone, like it's very activating for a lot of people. Some of these sites are vortex sites, or there's some sort of energetic electromagnetic component where you can feel it. Like when we were up in Belize in the top of that one pyramid site where I found that little ball thing,
Hmm.
like I was supercharged, like me personally, and maybe not everyone else was feeling
Yeah,
that,
you
but
like
there's,
dropped to one of your knees. You're like,
yeah, I actually kind of blacked out. There was something at that site for me that I had no idea. So whenever people are guided places, I feel like that's a reason to go. Like there could be some grid work happening, whether they understand it or not. I feel like there's just, like you said, the energetic component is 100% there. And you have to travel to experience that. I mean, you can't, I mean, you can go surf the web and look at all this stuff, but it's just not the same, you know?
yeah. I mean, like for me,
yeah,
I definitely have like, and it's never where I think it's gonna be, like where I have like some weird shit
Right.
happens to me. It's like, I'm going to like obscure places, but I don't know when I'm gonna get like a hit by like an epiphany or not, but sometimes it just happens, and it seems to be correlated a lot with visiting some of these places, which I don't even know what you guys would define as grid work, because people just kind of throw a lot of words out there. They're like ley lines and grid works and I'm like, yeah, but I mean, I understand the concept of all those, but like I don't even know if anybody 100% has like true definitions of what those are or aren't, but I think like we're grid working.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's all circumstantial and specific to the individual.
Right,
And
right.
I don't think there is an actual like textbook definition for it because everyone has their own individual unique experience and they have something to offer for the land and vice versa. And I guess just that experience in itself could be called grid work, but I don't think it's like a blanket statement.
It's not like one thing. I think that's kind of a giant umbrella term that, gets used a lot, and it can mean many, many, many different things. But they all essentially have to do with the energetic, some kind of energetic component of you going to a certain place. I think just us going to these places is grid work happening automatically, like whether you're intentionally doing it or not. If you're at a certain level of consciousness or at a certain level energetically, I think just you going to places can be both ways, both activating to you and you also doing something, there as well.
I agree.
Um, but then you can do very intentional things, which we did in Peru. We've done it some of these places, right? Um, my group when we were in Egypt 3 years ago, I'd say we definitely did grid work while we were there. And you can feel the energy. You can feel it, like Tyler said, when you go to a lot of these places, you can just feel it. And certain like the general areas within certain spots, certain specific locations, even while you're like in Egypt for like
Right.
in some of these temples or in the Great Pyramid or at the Sphinx or these different places, and Machu Picchu in Peru and and Sacsayhuama and all these other places that we went to, there were definitely spots where you're like, whoa, there is some intense energy going on right here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, which is always weird.
and yeah, yeah, yeah. And a lot of us even have encounters with beings and entities in a lot of these places, like which we have in our trips already, right? And yeah, even in Teotihuacan, which we just got back from less than a month ago, same thing. And again, the mainstream narrative, they tell you, oh, these were the Aztecs built this, right? And which is only like a few like what? When were the Aztecs? Like not even
Yeah, or
2,000 years ago?
the Incas only
Or the
lived like three
Incas and
generations. Like they
the
were all
Incas
like,
in Peru, they built all
yeah.
this, and you're like, no,
It's
you can
like,
even see the layer of like, okay, this is what the Incas built, and then this is what this way more ancient civilization built. That's way more um, intricate, and it's built in a way that we could not replicate today. Like we could replicate what the Incas built today. We
I
could
mean,
not
and it's
replicate
like
the more
it's
ancient.
like we couldn't build the pyramids today.
We couldn't build the pyramids today. We couldn't build
And
so
people
many
will
of
be
these
like, yeah,
things.
I always had like some douche on Twitter yesterday, like put like tagged me in something because they're like, see, they could, and it was a bunch of like people like carrying a big stone on a thing or whatever, and there's like because I always say I'm like it would take like 200,000 people carrying some of this shit with the amount of weight, like the amount of tons that it would take, but to get the torque, like to get it there, and then much less like lift it up to where it becomes
Uh,
like the freaking pyramid thing. It doesn't.
right,
Yes, somebody built it.
right,
It's there, but I'm
Right.
saying the conventional means in which they're telling us it's built just doesn't make sense. And then they're like, "See, look, bunch of people together can move stones." And I'm like,
yeah,
Well,
yeah. It's the classic like straw man argument or straw man proof, where people, anything to make it look like the thing they already want to believe is real, like. But then when you like actually examine it and look at the content, you're like, no, that doesn't explain anything
right.
at all, actually. And then you have like Machu Picchu in Peru, right? It's they decided not only did they build that we can't replicate today, they did it on top of a freaking mountain.
yeah, that's like
They did it
very
on
hard
top
to
of a
get to.
mountain.
Yeah,
Right. It's like,
You
well,
know,
this is the hardest location possible to build this insane
dragons.
thing.
well, you know what's interesting? I just, there's so much stuff flying around the internet now. It's all crazy. You don't know what to believe. But one of the one of them was a flood simulation that went that
Mm,
like they kind of rewound time, and the water levels at the time where like Machu Picchu and other these other places were built, like they were at sea level when they built that. It's not like they
hmm.
climbed to the top of the mountain and built it.
Yeah.
That's what this video was trying to portray. So it's just interesting, if you start thinking about, well, this all used to be underwater at some point. So we're talking about
Hmm.
completely different geography. But there's also like going, like you said, having these weird experiences at these different sites. Like in Egypt, when I went to Sekhmet, the statue, the lion statue, in that
Hmm.
room, a number of people have crazy videos and footage. Well,
I
I
had an
went,
experience with that. The black statue, that's like
yeah,
really
yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah. I
Hmm.
walked in there and they give you 5 minutes. There's a whole line of people and they give you 5 minutes and there's a guard standing there. And immediately felt the room like shifting and I was connecting with the statue. It felt like the whole room was just disappearing around me. It turned into this portal, like it was waving. And I could see like an actual figure, like a being coming out of the statue. And I was just like almost like, oh my God, it was immediately happening to me. And as soon as like I was in the heart of it, this guard like taps me with his whatever, and he was like pointing at something, and then he's like, "All right, time to go." I'm like, I was in here for 30 seconds," and I'm like, and that same thing happened to Lily too, and I'm thinking to myself, there's something else going on here. Like, because everybody else got a full 5 minutes, but it's like that guy, that guard is like a gatekeeper in a way.
Mm.
And like they almost know when people are connecting, they don't want you to have that experience, so they cut it off. It's like keeping people from actually connecting and activating. I think they're in place to do that. But that happens all over. People can connect and have those crazy experiences.
Well, so let's just go on that because I'll tell you my experience with it. Okay, so I go into the Sackbit statue and I take a picture of her or whatever, and then like I'm in, I don't know how long I'm in there. I'm not in there 5 minutes. I think it was closed off and we had to pay a guard to open that section when we were there, and it was like our whole group had to like get in and out in 5 minutes. So, I mean, we just kind of went in, took a picture, like kind of circled out, and then I went back to the boat. Like I was on the river cruise that night, and then I had like a crazy livid dream where, like, I have this lion aspect where I actually am a boy lion. Like it's like I'm a big giant boyish human lion who's like got like whitish little tiny hint of blue in his white fur, and I don't know his name because he doesn't speak English, but they're telepathic. And I used to think it was like a past life memory, but then I've merged with him a couple of times, so I think he's currently alive. So it's almost like a soul aspect of me or something. I don't really know how it works. But so anyway, my boy lion aspect, like as in the dream, and then so I'm in the room with Sekhmet, and then she comes alive, and then her mother comes over from the other room, and they're like kind of trying to seduce me, but I'm in my like male lion form. And I was just like, oh, what are they doing? And it's like I'm talking to my male lion aspect inside his head, like watching through his eyes, and he's just like, um I'm here like you coming here was like a messenger for Sekhmet. And I was like, why, what's the deal with Sekhmet? And he's like, well, she's of the race that we are and she has to atone for her sins. And I was like, what did she do? And he's like, oh, she's in charge of all the manipulation of the warheads. Like she's been the one in charge of the wars or manipulating the leaders to go to war for thousands of years. Like she's the energy behind that. And so she's like,
Mm.
so where you're like, and then so she was kind of like trying to seduce me or something. And I was just like, and then he spoke like their language or whatever it was they spoke, like almost like some weird hum thing. And then her and her mother started like cowering like cats. Like they were like scared me. They go into the end of the room. And then I just told her, I'm like, hey, I'm just the messenger. I'm just here to tell you that like you're not gonna be able to escape. You're gonna have to pay for what you've done. So like get your case together because the council's getting ready to basically review your case.
Mm.
And so it was just like a very weird situation. I never like wanted to have that experience. It wasn't something I decided to have, but that was something that happened when I saw that damn statue. So it happened that night after I saw the statue,
Right.
in like a livid dream kind of situation. So take that for whatever it is. But anyway, since then I don't like Sekhmet.
I mean, hey, and that's just it. We buy the souvenirs and the decor and the art and all this stuff, and it's beautiful, it's impressive, but we don't understand the true history of who these people were and what role they played. A lot of them were false gods that did things like you just mentioned, like manipulating these wars and, behind the scenes. So it's interesting to consider. I wouldn't like anybody that has that stuff in their home, like don't give it too much power. It can be a piece of art. It can be just that. But just understand that I think, sometimes we can bring stuff into our homes too. When you buy these certain relics or artifacts, they can act as an altar or an idol, I mean, and like allow things into your home. So this is something, a whole side note, but something to consider whenever you do bring things home from these ancient sites.
Yeah, and I mean, I get in trouble with that with the rocks I bring home. I mean, because I always find like the crazy, like rock things and stuff I bring home, and then like I never even thought about the notion of like depossessing things. But
Right,
my husband Joaquin's like really sensitive to that kind of crap, and he's had to like deal like yeah, something in here is. And I'm like, okay, so then he has to like depossess it or do whatever. And I'm like, okay, all right, cool. But then, so very much like, yeah, I think you have to have intention on what you have in your surroundings, especially especially in relation to some of these places, because they really are portal places. I do believe. And
Hmm.
I'm not 100% convinced they're ancient. I'm not
right.
convinced that time is how the way we think it works. Like, but when you were saying like they could be interdimensional or they're like popping in, like, yeah, like I've been looking at this stuff like very actively for, I don't know, like also since like 2011. Like, and like I find new ruins every day like that they come into my awareness, and then it'll be a thing where they'll be like, oh, so some major YouTuber that I follow and have interviewed and everything or went there and did a big thing on it like 2 years ago, and I'll be like, wait, what, how did I even miss this? And it just
Right.
wasn't even anywhere in my, I mean, Japan was really a big thing like that. Like um all the Ishinohoden and like the
Hmm.
Masuda Mfude, which is like the rock ship thing. These are just these giant things. Like those only came into my awareness a couple of years ago, honestly. And I mean, they've supposedly been there for thousands of years, but
Right.
I didn't
I'd
hear
never
about it
heard
too.
of it,
Yeah,
but apparently it was on Ancient Aliens a few years back. And but I had never heard of it, and I had never heard anyone mention it. But it's this giant anomalous stone weird thing in the middle of a bamboo forest.
Right.
And it looks like
Oh,
it goes further underground too. It looks like part of it's like
yeah,
buried, and it's even bigger than just even what sticks up. And what sticks up out of the ground is already massive and unexplainable.
y-
It looks like a docking station, almost for like a ship or
it
something. It
does.
looks like a docking station. It's crazy.
who knows? This reminds me too of, I remember Ancient Aliens a long time ago, one of the early episodes, and I can't find it, but they found this drawing, this I can't think, hieroglyph or something
Mhm.
of depicting. Basically, there was a guy on the boat and a guy on the land, and they had these like cone-shaped looking things in their hand, and they were like levitating. There was a block in the air, going from the boat to the land. Like they were moving. It was depicting that this block was being like acoustically levitated. And
Hmm.
I remember there was a whole segment on it, and that got me thinking because I had heard the Coral Castle story
Right.
Yep.
where the kids on the bike see the guy and they moving his stones with ice cream cones in there, and they go home
Yeah.
and say he had ice cream cones, he was moving it with ice cream cones. Well, it's the same cone shape
Hmm.
that was depicted in Egypt, right? But then you go to South Africa where Michael Tillinger is
Yeah,
finding all of those cone-shaped
Yep.
rocks, and
Yep.
he realized that each one,
makes a vibration.
yeah, it rings at a different frequency. So we're
Hmm.
talking about a massive acoustic like frequency technology, right?
Yep.
Like something that we just don't understand anymore, but it's probably very easy and simple. We just that knowledge has just been kept from us.
Been
So
hidden. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
But whatever it was, it's so prevalent around the world that like whatever technology they had to build these things, what they didn't do this because it was hard. I mean, the prevalence in which these exist suggests that this there was some amount of ease for which they did this thing,
Right.
So
Right.
like, so it wasn't like that's the other thing is like I don't think it was like oh like 80 people's lifetime of every
Yeah.
single
Right.
day, for like in the heat, sweating and getting whipped and dying for that doesn't appear to be like what's actually really in the fossil records of what happens. Like whatever happened, like that we don't have like big cranes and giant trucks that they used or I don't know what they used, but I don't think it was llamas and
No, it
you know
wasn't.
especially like in Peru, like they didn't even have the wheel. The Incas didn't use the wheel. That's something to consider.
Will. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they had knowledge of it, but they don't have any evidence that they used wheelbarrows or wagons or anything like that. So
Yeah.
that's crazy. Think about that. And their biggest animal is a llama,
Right.
or an alpaca or whatever. Okay,
Right.
so then you're kind of thinking, and you're talking about there are stones there that are like way more than airplanes. It's like
Yeah.
Right.
what we're talking
Right.
about here.
Like many ton. Like
Yes, yes,
many
solid granite, ginormous,
over a
like
hundred tons.
story
Many.
size blocks.
Yeah.
Um,
The, the evidence isn't even there to suggest that it was done through slave labor. It's just like a stretch. It's like the whole, coming up with dark
Yeah.
matter because they don't understand the rest of it. So we're just gonna say that there's dark matter. Like they're just
Yeah.
finding something to fill in that blank. It's like they're creating a puzzle piece that doesn't actually fit.
Well, they can't just say we don't know, and then if
Right.
they actually investigated it, they would genuinely, authentically investigate it with an open mind. You would come to the conclusions that, oh, a way more advanced civilization had to have built, but they can't say that, so they have
Right.
to say something, and they can't say, well, we just don't know. So they have to say, oh, well, what's the thing that fits the narrative we want about history?
Yeah.
That, right? So they have to say
right.
slave labor, and
Y-
they have to say these
And
narratives.
and in some cases, I do think they know. Like
Oh yeah,
Gobekli Tepe, I don't think it's a coincidence that they build that structure over the top of it and they plant olive trees all on the hillside, which are protected, so you can't cut them down.
right.
Like they understand, okay, now you're breaking the law if you go and cut these trees down. I think that what's underground there, they have technology. They've done the scans. They don't even need to dig anymore. Actually, if you watch Jurassic Park when they're scanning in the beginning of the movie and that, they're scanning for that raptor underground, and
Yeah,
he said a few more years we won't even need to dig anymore. Like that was in the 90s, right? So they've
Mhm.
already scanned this land. They know what's underground, probably a level of crazy detail. And if they know it's going to alter our history or force us to reconsider, like, okay, we don't have it figured out, they can't have that. So I think they do things like that to stop people from exploring further too.
Yeah, because they've only excavated 5% of Gobekli
Right.
Tepe, and then they stopped, and then they
yeah.
planted all those olive trees, which, like as you said, are
And like
protected.
when I went there, it was like so much has been gone. Like meaning
Yeah.
like you know, I went there with Jimmy, and then it was like who was like the one was like exposing all those trees things, and it's
Mhm.
but like they literally uh like drill into active dig site. They're just like, okay, we're
Yeah.
gonna put a stadium
It's
thing here
insane.
now,
They're
Yeah.
just
but
they're
there's
destroying the
active
site.
and like
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
see like they were doing it to Kirahan Tepe, which is it hasn't been covered yet, but it's a in the same vicinity area,
Yeah.
and it has actually some even cooler like artifacts that they found than even Gobekli Tepe. There's by the way, there's like a lot of tepes around there that like
Mhm.
there's
Yeah.
Sebek and there's a bunch of these different hill sites and things that they it's
Mhm.
only the tip has been discovered in that area.
Right.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
But it's also I don't even know if I'll go back because it was like super I felt very unwelcomed. It was a very Muslim run country, but where they were like we went to one restaurant and like they I started ordering and the guy like ignored me and was like uh can her husband speak for her? And it was like, oh, okay. So
Yeah.
like I wasn't even allowed to like order my meal. And,
Yeah.
and I was being respectful. I was all covered up and everything, but it was just it's like a different level of culture that I
It's
don't like that area, honestly. I
Well,
was never
Islam in general is extremely misogynistic. Unfortunately, it's just how, I mean,
yeah,
look at
and
like what's
but
going on with Iran right now, and
I
like
didn't have that problem in Egypt. Like this was another level, and
it's
I didn't
another level there.
and
Yeah.
I didn't have that problem in Istanbul, like which is more cosmopolitan. It's like, San Larifa, which is where Gobekli Tepe is like right next to Syria. Like literally it's the town. Like if you go
Yeah.
20 minutes over, you're in Syria. And it's like it's not exactly it's just extremely extreme. So
Yeah.
it's not exactly I think if people go visit it, they should just know like you'll be safe, you'll be fine, but it's not like you're not going to Disneyland. It's very
Right.
much like get in, go see your thing, and then leave because it's
Mhm.
not like
It's
a
not a
super
super welcoming to outsiders, especially
yeah,
Westerners,
especially
especially
Westerners. It's kind of
women,
little
female
yeah,
Westerners
exactly.
culture. Yeah.
But they also have made a gift shop there, and they're totally monopolizing on just the couple of little enclosures that they did a dig up of Göbekli Tepe, and some of the coolest artifacts are gone. They're not even in the museum. They're not there. And I've tried to figure out like on through Google, through AI, through asking people on Twitter, like, where's this one piece that was found?
A black market.
Black market.
The
Yeah.
Like
black market.
literally, that's where it's at because like
Yeah.
nobody knows. They're like, oh, they broke that. Oh, I think it's in the
Right.
museum. No, it's not in the museum. Oh, sold.
Yeah. Right.
Right. But the obvious cool thing about Göbekli Tepe is what do they date it as, like 11,000 years old or something like
11 or
that?
12, yeah.
11 or 12, and that when that was, well, that was it was technically first discovered in 63, but it was only like the scale of it and the significance of it wasn't discovered till like 94, and then they started excavating in 95, and that's when they were like, oh shoot, this thing's like
Way
way
older
older
than we
than
thought.
the
Yeah.
mainstream narrative allows for. So that was one of the biggest things that first really on a mass scale broke the mainstream narrative of history,
Yeah.
because we're taught nothing past 6 or 7 thousand years is supposed to be on that in that scale of
Well,
like
and
civilization, right?
yeah. And it's all changing. Like who knew the Epstein files was going to have stuff about Gilgamesh and Gilgamesh resurrection chamber. That's a tongue twister. But
Mhm.
if you remember, like there's been that video that's going around. It looks like this guy with like almost like red skin, red hair, like like very fresh. Like
Yeah, the Russian video from like the 2008 or something. Yeah.
yeah, of Gilgamesh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you remember, Aaron, we interviewed James Casbolt, who is a credible whistleblower. Unfortunately, they've screwed with his mind a little bit now, but he was said something that reminded me of what you said, Nikki. He was trying to explain to us that the Gilgamesh tomb and all this stuff, it's not as ancient as we think. It's there's things going on. It's much more modern than we think. And he kind of explained that on our episode. And I found that very interesting because we're led to believe like this is some ancient being that's been in stasis, but there could be a much more modern
Well,
history to it.
that's where okay, so carbon dating is really flawed, a lot of bullshit. Not only that, but like we know that like we're in some sort of video game that's been reset many times. Like look at the dinosaur record,
Yeah.
whether those are dragons or not. I don't know what they are, if they're just dinosaurs because we have very few full I
Right.
think there's like 32 full skeleton of dinosaurs and a lot of things, or maybe like 100 and there's less than 200 full dinosaur skeletons that have been ever found. Like and then they've Jurassic Park become up with this whole like we don't and then we're like, oh
Well,
wait, actually turns out they had some of them had feathers.
right.
And
Well, some people think they were actually dragons, not
I
they
think
weren't
they were
never dragons.
dragons. Like that's
Right.
I
Yeah, and
totally
then
think I'm like, well, we have
because they just have the skeleton, and then
a
they're like,
ton
oh,
of
they were dinosaurs.
there's also like there's a big group within paleontology that talks about like there's soft tissue that is preserved in some of them, meaning like they can there's like some preservation of like veins and stuff, and that if they were 56 million years old, that wouldn't that
That
there's
wouldn't be the
it just
case.
wouldn't be that wouldn't not be preserved. So like they may
Mhm.
not be as old as you think. And then like like I've like researched a lot about dragons, and a lot of it is like they say that they were the last magical thing to leave this realm and it was they left like 700 years ago like even Alexander the Great had like a run-in with and like he gives a detailed um And it's not just like, oh yeah, and I stuck a sword and killed it. He's like the mouth of it was as big as like you had to enter it through a cave, and that's what his mouth was. And they put goats filled with gunpowder into the cave and then blew them up, and that's how they killed the dragon. Like, but it's very detailed about like exactly how much measurement of gunpowder they used and like why they did it this way, and they had to appease this dragon for like just some weird stuff that you're like, it's a very he was
It's
writing
all
this to
it's
account.
true.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of, I'm like, okay, it's true. It's just like I saw a
Yeah.
unicorn in flesh and blood with my
Yeah.
eyeballs with other people. It wasn't like a ghost. It wasn't like a, oh, I had a spiritual awakening and this came to me in my dream. It was like there was a physical animal that was a horse with a horn on its head. I saw
Yeah.
that in the Amazon jungle, guys. And so it's hard for me as a human to be like, I can't believe anything these fucking people say about
Well,
anything.
I think
But
I think there's other dimensions going on where like
I think that's true.
this so-called mythical or magical or super ancient stuff has existed the whole time in these in like a higher dimension, let's say. And then sometimes it kind of like phases in, or you go to a certain place like you did with the unicorn, and you're kind of like in this overlapping maybe, or you're kind of going somewhat into that
Yeah, like bleeding
dimension
into
to
the
where
other
you're able to
dimension.
see the stuff. People at ECETI have seen like pterodactyls, right,
right.
Yeah,
Tyler?
Yeah.
my
I think
brother claims it all.
Sasquatch, I think that's what Sasquatch is doing. It mainly lives in a higher dimension, but it's able to kind of come back and go back and forth, and that's why people report seeing it pop in and out, right?
Yeah.
So I think the Sasquatch go back many, way long ago into Atlantis Lemurian times and maybe even before, right? I
Well,
think
and this the same with dragons too. I mean,
and dragons too,
right.
yeah.
And I do think that so there's like two sides to that coin. So yeah, potentially they could all be dragon bones, but then you have a bunch of archaeologists that, go to school, get a PhD in this field, and they go and like with the program that these are dinosaurs. So they're only looking at it through that lens. So all this research and these generations of research, it's not like they're intentionally doing it. It's like that's just they just let them go. Like the lie was a long time ago, and the programming, like we're just programming ourselves from
Yeah,
that.
it's like if we were taught our entire like, oh, that this is red, this is
Right,
red, this is
right,
red, and it's like you like if you were just taught that you'd be like, okay, yeah, this is red. I mean, like you don't know because that's just like what you've always like a lot of
Right.
my life the last like so many years has been about deprogramming myself, trying to unlearn what I've been taught, or try to
Mhm.
just look at things from first principles, meaning like look at it as if I'm the first person to come across this and stop taking other people's interpretation of things because like we just build on the shoulders of giants, and sometimes they may not be right on the thing that we're building on,
Yeah,
and it goes with that with a lot of stuff. But with the time thing, where I was getting to earlier was like yeah, they tell us that like the age of all these things is this and that, and it may be that, and I'm fine if it is. Like that's cool. Like if
right.
things are super old and all that, I'm game with that too. But I also think that like the elite do know stuff more than like I don't know if you guys saw my I think I showed you Aaron in Mexico, but like right before we left for Mexico, like the Epstein files were coming out, and I was like laying in bed, and I was like, yeah, what so it seems like the fucked up stuff always happens on coast, and like Joaquin was like, didn't Epstein like have a ranch like here in New Mexico? And I was like, oh yeah. And then so like I just like look up I start asking about like where his ranch was, and I found his ranch on, and then like I look at and it's like Shiprock dikes. There are these three giant walls, like a straight ass wall on
Hmm.
the Zorro Ranch property. On Epstein's property, he has an actual volcanic dike wall. And then I start looking into that wall. It's called the Creston Dike Wall. All right. It has crazy petroglyphs, like these super galactic ones with total star being weird, like Kachina
Hmm.
style. They're awesome petroglyphs actually. And then I can't and I guess I need to try to go there soon or whatever, but it's you gotta like scoot the line of where is the actual ranch or not, even though I have a friend who lives like 10 minutes from there and is it so I think I might have an in to go there soon, so I might go. But
Nice.
then they also have ruins and stuff there. So I'm kind of you pair that with, and you hear stuff about how Ghislaine Maxwell, like the dark journalist, has done a big deep dive on this thing where um they were looking for Atlantis. Like they
They were
like
Oh yeah.
scuba diving.
yeah, they were
Yeah.
scuba diving. She was a submarine
Submarine.
pilot, all that. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
mean, like
Yeah.
they were in the Bimini Road, like which is like
Hmm.
some megaliths in the Caribbean, like next to Cuba. Like they were actively looking for underground ruins and stuff. So these people who are these sickos ruling us, like, and I've said this for a while, like I think like when I went to Saxe Woman, I was like, okay, like you don't just build this and then just fade away. Like there's
Right.
I that's why I felt like there, and I think I actually found you guys because I was looking into breakaway civilizations and inner earth. And then when I was Googling stuff on YouTube, y'all popped up with a couple of your interviews and stuff on inner earth. And then I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna email those dudes then." And then so like that's how like this connection even happened. But I really, when I go back to that, I think yeah, like there's something else that controls us. And back to the Gilgamesh thing, which I actually just took a screenshot of that email earlier today. So let me see it, and it'll just tell you like how it labeled it. It says requesting documents pertaining to the resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh, the location of his body and the location of the buried Nephilim. Like
Right.
that's from, I think that's supposedly like one of Hillary's emails. I don't know to which one this
Yeah.
is to, but like this is
Right.
like a quote from one of the
R-
actual emails. And you're kind of going like, they know more when you look at what they are destroying, like Persepolis, when they destroyed that in Iran a couple years, or well, with ISIS did, like those
Hmm.
winged bulls and stuff like that. There's something they like Afghanistan. They
It's
blew up those big Buddhas. Like, what are they fun?
it's
They know more than
All
we.
these wars where there very
Yeah.
specific locations where there's supposed to be stargates or these ancient things that you know
it's also a
they know all this stuff. Yeah.
it's a battle of the bloodlines too, because these people, if you really get into it, I think they're looking for their own lineage history, right? And
Hmm.
artifacts that pertained that were their ancestors, because this is all about bloodlines when you really get into it. So, like these, I kind of did a video on this recently. You know, you get into all these like are they reptilians? Are they hybrids? Are they Anunnaki? Are they Sumerian? But either way, they think they're different than us. That they're very open about that, which would indicate that to me that this is about preserving a bloodline. And there's other groups that think that they're entitled to this planet. And I think that's where we see the destruction of these ancient sites and stuff, because it's like it's an ancient war that's still being
Yeah, it's still
waged.
going on.
And then like they give us these like fabricated political issues for natural resources or whatever the hell it is, but they're really
Weapons of
fighting
mass
this.
destruction.
Yeah, but they're really fighting this ancient war. But, you know, and that's what I think we're looking at here. And why would they be looking in Bimini Road or underwater there? I think that there's something there. There's like uh, parts of pieces of their history that they're trying to obtain to preserve that. Or, you know, myth and legend is, as we understand, like is real. It's true. Like everything we were taught was a myth or a legend or fairy tales turn out to be actual history. So maybe these are like magical artifacts or relics or something that actually house power, like hold power that can be utilized for whatever reason. You know, we have to think outside the box like that. It's not like they're just looking because they want to go find a cool arrowhead or something. Like
Right. And it's not
there's
like they're like,
really,
oh, I want
yeah.
to see my ancestor
It's
Gilgamesh's burial site.
It's
No,
like a technology
yeah.
or something,
yeah.
but in the
It's
full
about
form of a stone.
power and control too, ultimately, which is like what the Nazis were trying to do. You know, that's why they were so obsessed with all
Ark of the
this
Covenant
ancient
and
Ark of the
yeah.
Covenant. That's why they went to Tibet, and that's why they were obsessed with all these ancient things because they knew it was real, and they knew if they can harness these, these technologies or these ancient powers, they could have full control, right,
Right.
and domination. They seemed like they were close to doing that, and then luckily, I think there's higher powers at work though that are protecting us to a certain degree, and but it did seem like they fled, to Argentina and Antarctica and continued on
Well, and
their
who
work and
knows
were
what's
able
really
to do
going on
so.
in Antarctica.
And there's so much going on in
Right.
Antarctica and Greenland too. It looks like as well, both of
Yeah.
those places.
Right. And
That's crazy. Yeah.
well, just talking about cold places reminding me of Nikki earlier. You said about, they're finding bone marrow within these dinosaur bones that couldn't, or tissue that couldn't actually be as ancient as we believe, right?
Yeah, soft tissue. Yeah.
Soft tissue, yeah. So that reminds me of the Smoky God Inner Earth book testimony. I believe I just call it a testimony. Um, they claim in that book that the mammoth bed in Siberia, where they find these like almost perfectly preserved mammoths,
With
like with
like
still,
food in its mouth and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. According to the Smoky God material, that book, they're actually still living within the planet, and whenever some of those mammoths die, they fall either are pushed into the river or they end up into an inner Earth river that ends up gathering and collecting in Siberia. So they're actually finding fresh remains, according to this book. That's one of the discoveries they made. It's not ancient at all. It's just being flushed out from inside the planet where there or wherever this honeycomb, whatever cavern where it still exists. And they're actually finding a recent kill, not an ancient
Oh,
kill that
that's
was,
interesting. I hadn't
yeah.
I thought I read the Smoky Gods. I didn't even remember that about it. So that's
Yeah, I
a
can send you. There's two versions of it. There's like the original, and then there's an expanded version that actually has. It's way thicker, but it has a bunch of corroborating testimonies and research, like
Mhm.
to like.
I think the one I read was only like 60 or it
Yeah,
wasn't
there's
very long.
a
Yeah,
real
It
short
was a
that's
one.
the
short
one I
one, yeah.
have, but the expanded is definitely the one to get. It seems like
But
it's
either way,
a lot
it's
more.
fascinating to think like, okay, this is a fresh kill. It's not ancient. The ice is preserving it, but it's not millions of
Not
years old.
not millions of years.
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah. Yeah, I
right.
mean, like I think a lot of times they explain things by adding time on it. Like, they just throw like these arbitrary numbers of things onto it to like um make you stop looking further or question
right,
it. And
Yeah.
back to like weapons and stuff, like meteorites, there's literally this giant meteorite I just posted the other day about that is in like Namibia, I think, in Africa, and it doesn't like didn't leave any crater. Like craters and meteorites aren't necessarily always associated. That we don't even have that many craters. Like the crater in Arizona is like the biggest crater that we know of. It. I mean, a lot of the craters are like basically my whole thing is like the extinction event of all the craters and then the Younger Dryas getting hit by tons of meteorites and all that stuff. We don't have that big of evidence for that, guys. It's like there's some
right.
weird stuff going on where I actually think we may have had nuclear wars before. We may have
Oh,
had,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
100%. I think that
Oh
explains
yeah.
the entire Southwest. Meltology,
Oh yeah.
that whole theory. Like
Yeah.
Sedona, where I'm at, I had a Grand Canyon. I took a video of Grand Canyon and I put it in the Grok. I said reconstruct this to its original form and then put temples there. Like it literally, like I'm telling you, this was an ancient city that was melted from laser weapons.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I don't care how silly that
I
sounds.
mean, like Shiprock, there's no other explanation for that except
Right.
it's like the Emerald City that got melted,
Yes. Right.
like
That's
flash melted.
Yeah. Well,
I
in the
yeah.
Vedas, if you read the Vedas, they describe nuclear what sounds exactly like nuclear war. They call
Yeah.
it Brahmastra, which is incredibly powerful weapons having extremely destructive capability, and it sounds like they're describing nuclear war. And look how old those are, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
there you go.
In my opinion, that's like places like Sedona and Shiprock and all the Southwest. In fact, if you look at the Middle East and the Southwest on a map, everything's fairly green. Green, brown, like looks healthy. And then I would say the Middle East and the Southwest look like scars, like battle wounds, like they were
Totally.
just torched. I mean, it really does. And
Yeah.
if you think of it in terms of energy weapons, like this was just, this was an attack. I think that like that last cataclysm wasn't natural, I think that we were looking at as some sort of a war, and it melted these things. So there's no way to determine the age, even if you wanted to. And it's like it's like, okay, it can pass as a natural formation, and these dumb sheeple will just believe that, so we don't even have to explain
Hmm.
it. But when you really start looking at it, I'm like, that was a temple. That was something. This was a city. This is not what we thought it was.
Yeah, the dike walls are
Yeah.
really interesting. And then you have stuff like Sage Wall in Montana, which is like pretty
Yeah.
Right.
verifiable megalith. I haven't seen it in
Yeah.
person, but I mean It's
It
Right,
definitely it looks like a built wall, like it
right.
just like Shiprock, just like what
yeah, I
Seal
Yeah,
mean,
Ranch, the Texas wall. Like there's all these walls that they're clearly built walls. They are clearly way older than, like there was some civilization that built these things, and seems to
yeah,
be
and I
something else
think
going
they
on.
know.
Yeah,
I think it's fair to say that and somebody else was like, don't say elite, say parasites. So, yeah, so
yeah. The
they're not the
parasites.
elite, they're
yeah,
the
this
parasites, right? I do
exactly.
think like the parasites that kind of think they rule this place. I think
Yeah.
they have more information on our true history, unfortunately, and
Oh,
we're having to piece it together with intuition, and
and yeah, sorry to cut you off,
go
but
ahead.
that reminds me, they just sealed off the library, the catacombs of the Vatican. Like I just saw it yesterday. They basically made it inaccessible for anyone. You cannot go down there now. And that allegedly is where all the history from the Library of Alexandria was moved from Egypt to the catacombs of the Vatican, or the library underneath the Vatican. And now they just ordered that to be sealed, and no one is, and why they would even make that public news, I don't know, but no one is allowed access to it because I think that, I don't know, they're trying to cover up something. Like, I think what's getting ready to happen is the whole lid is getting ready to be blown off of everything, our true history, who we are, everything. It's going to happen in, subtle increments, but I think it's getting ready to be blown off, and they're doing things like that, shutting down the library, cutting off access because now people are getting breadcrumbs that are leading them places. And the Epstein files has something about the Gilgamesh resurrection chamber or whatever it is. Oh, guess what? Well, guess where there's more information in the Vatican? Oh, well, guess what? Sorry, you can't go down there now. Like they're trying to stop
Hmm.
people from connecting these dots. They're playing whack-a-mole. They're trying to put out these fires, but it's inevitable. They're just going to delay it. But I think we're really at this precipice, and I think like it's getting ready to be blown wide open.
I feel that. I mean,
Yeah.
I want that. I hope that. I don't know. I
Right,
feel like
right, same.
I've been feeling and hoping and wanting that for, like 15 years, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. No. But
But we're closer than ever. We're
I do feel
closer
like
than
we're
ever.
closer.
Everything
Yeah,
feels
And
like it's coming
yeah,
to a
it feels like it's
precipice right
coming to a
now.
head,
Yeah,
it does.
yeah.
And then I also have noticed, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like for example, my Twitter feed, I have it's all UFOs now. Like there's so many sightings. People are posting nightly crazy orbs, like tons of orbs are being seen, tons of things. And like you have to always like double check, is this made with AI or not, or always kind of know that like, but even if one of these hundreds that I'm looking at a day is authentic, like stuff is kind of popping off more than it has in a long time. Like
yeah,
I do feel like
Mhm.
more people are seeing stuff on in mass than like there was a time like in I don't know, maybe like I feel like 2017 and a little bit before there was a lot, and then there was kind of a period where there was a little bit of like globally there was a little bit of where it kind of stalled, and I wasn't really seeing it for a couple of years there. I wasn't seeing anything new, and then now it's just like crazy. And I don't. I mean, yeah, it could be AI videos, but also, I mean, some of the stuff I'm thinking more and more people I know are telling me things they've saw, or I feel like
right.
en masse people are having more experiences. It's like happening really quickly right now.
Yeah. I just
Oh
sent
yeah.
you a short video, Nikki, to your phone that a friend of mine caught the other night. And it's actually impressive. It's a UFO footage here in Sedona, whenever you feel like looking at it. But I like those cases because I know where it came from, right?
Right, right.
And if it's pretty impressive, it's one of the most impressive pieces of footage I've seen in a minute because it changes directions and goes straight back where it came from. If you look at it, if you want to review it now, you don't
I
have
like
to.
I was gonna say like I could just pull it up here so that people could see it. Wait.
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it,
absolutely.
I know it's not, we're not, we somehow segued into UFOs, but you're right.
No,
I think
that's fine. People need to go into UFOs. It's part of it.
It all connects,
it
guys. It
really
all
is.
connects.
And while you're doing that, remember Sacred Mountain here, Nikki, that we went to that one time we stopped at Sacred Mountain and found those, there's
Oh
pottery up
yeah,
there.
the frugalite thing?
Yeah, have you ever been all the way up to the top of that?
No.
Yeah, so I went to the top. There's like Puebloan ruins up there. There's ancient ruins up there on top, and there's like 50 to 60 dwellings, and there's thousands and thousands of pottery shards everywhere. It's a crazy place. just outside of Sedona here. So, I mean, there's even more of a modern history that's just, there's no sign or history about that. Anyway, just a side note.
Okay, I'm gonna try. I guess I'm just gonna share my screen. Who knows what's on here, y'all? Okay, let's look.
Yeah, there it is. So, okay. This is me recording what he sent me and slowing it down. So there it is, and then it goes right back. Um,
It
goes
stops,
straight
Oh,
back.
interesting. Yeah, so
flashes,
it comes out, flashes,
and
and
then
then
reverses.
Yeah, yeah. See that flash? Like it literally, it just goes straight back where it came from. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's a great catch.
Yeah. And it happens very fast. So this video is slowed down. It's not the original one. The original one, it's like something's just cruising across the sky and it hits the brakes and the light flashes and it goes back. It's pretty wild. Like, and that's from somebody I know literally 15 minutes away who caught that
Yeah.
footage. So not all of it is
Ty-
AI, is what I'm trying to
Tyler and I
say.
both
right,
know
yeah. I
Robert.
mean, like
Right.
that's
We
that's
both
the
know him.
thing. Is like I mean, I see stuff all the time, and like
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't even bother filming it anymore because it never really comes out that good, but I need
Well,
to.
and it's the internet's saturated with it. It's
It,
almost like, oh,
it's
look, a
Yeah, it's
UFO
not like
video.
anybody's gonna believe you anyway. Like you
yeah,
know.
and that's been intentionally. They've done that intentionally to muddy the waters. So you just throw out everything and you just, oh, it's
Right,
all probably just fake. It's all just
right.
CGI or AI and
I
they,
mean,
they do that stuff all the time.
but we also have this weird like whether we want it or not, our world is changing and so like they say that we have 18 months of white collar jobs left because of AI. You know, like I mean, we're about to be in a completely different I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
even
well,
not taking the UFO and all the other stuff. So I'm it's really weird because I feel like we're like society's on this weird like teetering of like a huge it could be a break for the good or a break for the bad. I don't know, but something's in the air that's very different than I've felt before. And at this time, it's not like a false alarm because we actually do have the AI coming in a big way. We do have like structural changes to like financial systems. We have a lot of stuff happening that's gonna be really weird.
I think I liken it to a Star Wars movie in the sense that what do you see in Star Wars? You see extremely advanced technology and intergalactic travel, and then you see poverty existing alongside each other. Like literally, like there's these people
mhm.
that are living in poverty, like especially
Like
the Force
those
Awakens.
little hut house things
Yeah,
where
yeah, exactly. So like we're gonna see that, like especially in third world countries, that's gonna be a reality, and it already is in a sense. But we're, not that we have to live in poverty, but there's gonna be this weird time where like this new technology is arriving, but the infrastructure isn't quite there yet, and not everyone's letting go of the old stuff. Perfect example is the grocery store right here by my house. They just introduced these brand new carts where you every time you put an item into the cart, it already is scanning it. And then, but when you're done shopping, you literally go and there's a card reader on the cart, and then you just slide your card in there, and then you pay for it, and then you unload it into your car, and then you put the cart back. Like
you don't ever have to deal with a human.
you never, not even a self checkout. It's
Not a self.
checking out as you shop. And I know that has been a thing in other parts of the world, and especially in like Bill Gates Microsoft community or wherever. Like I know I had a friend that worked there, and he explained that's what it was. You just basically walk in the store and walk out with it, and it's just scanning it and deducting from your account do
Well,
it. So
the airports have this. They have these kiosks. I know there's one in the Dallas Love Field that I think about a lot. But like it's you put your credit card in to enter. And there's no humans work there. You put your credit
Mhm.
card to enter it. You walk in, and it's like you grab your thing, and it's videoing you, and it has weight things on shelves or whatever. And like
right,
you get your bottle of water or your M&Ms or whatever it is you do, and you walk out, and it already has your card, and it charges you as you walk out.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
it basically monitors you shop, sees what you get, and then charges you
right.
before you walk out. I mean, like stuff like that, people, I don't know
But
that, yeah.
my whole example was okay, so you have these fancy new carts that I just explained. Then
Mhm.
you still have the old steel shopping carts, those are still there. You still have the regular checkout lanes, and then you have the self-checkout lanes. Like it's all going to just be mixed together for a while until
Yeah.
one finally takes over, prevails, right? And I think that's where we're gonna see that everywhere. And
But you know, it's like
yeah,
this guy, what's his name? David, I think David Sinclair, he's like the Harvard researcher on
Mhm.
aging, and he
Yeah.
came out with the thing a couple weeks ago about saying how we will within 16 months we'll know whether or not aging is
Optional.
Necessary?
reversible or not. Or
Yeah.
necessary. Like well, they've
Necessary.
apparently they've effectively been able to reverse aging in mice.
Yeah, with a pill. Yeah, absolutely. I
And
mean,
so they're like, and we will know whether or not it's gonna be ready for human trial and or maybe they are doing it. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, he says like with the help of AI, we will know the answer to that definitively one way or the other within 16 months. But like let's say that it is something that they can reverse. Like it could be like that Elysium movie or like whatever, or like a
yeah,
Jupiter right or
ascending. Yeah.
ascending where it's like only certain people that they're not going to allow everybody to just
Well,
like
in fact, I think it's probably already been happening behind
that's
the
true. I
scenes.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure some of these people are well that's the thing is like I've also thought of this a lot is that the way in which like COVID worked or things like this, it's like something corporeal, like something long lived, like that has a lot of patience is doing like who knows what the jabs do one way or the other, right? But like one of the rumors was that it makes your like some of the rat like the mRNA technology like what like I don't know how true this is or isn't, but one of the things at one point I heard was that it makes like within rabbits, the rabbit could still have babies, but then its babies couldn't have babies. Like it makes the next
Sterile.
generation feral, right? And so
Sterile.
it's
Yeah.
like so a lot of people say like and if that really ended up being the case, then what, like 90% of people took it. Okay, so then like talk about population um control, like if like that would be the most evil way because we wouldn't be able to do anything about it. That would have been a generation
Right.
ago, like
Yeah.
who you gonna like everybody your Fauci would be dead, all your presidents would be dead by then, like all your stuff. So like I feel like the controllers really, if any of that stuff ends up being true, then we really are dealing with something that is longer lived. So they could, I call them vampires, but they could be just have they already have these aging pills and shit.
Yeah. 100%. We're talking about vampires. I think, Dracula, seriously, like there's a real history there that people aren't really willing to accept yet, but some people are.
Well,
Yeah.
especially when they're talking about baby eating and our cannibalism and all this shit that's going on in the Epstein files. If any of that shit's true, then maybe they aren't human. Like, because there's no
Yeah.
amount of trauma that I go through. It's like I don't know, but I can't imagine like, oh yeah, you get raped and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden you want to eat people. Like it just doesn't seem to me like it feels like that's not a human behavior.
It
That's just like
it's
weird.
not. It's
Yeah.
demonic.
No.
It's demonic. Well, it's multi-leveled because you're like, okay, well, is it ETs or is it demons? I would say yes. Because we hear about the reptilians, the Greys, and all these like supposed negative ET races. It definitely seems like a lot of these people are, you could say, hybrids of reptilians or have a lot of their genetics intentionally going back. I think it goes back to Atlantis times where these negative ETs took over, like were able to kind of infiltrate and take over, and they basically mix their genetics with these certain bloodlines, and they use them as these like proxies or the middlemen to kind of rule over while they're you know
Behind the
up above
scenes.
that, behind the scenes more.
Yeah.
So, and that's why these bloodline families are so adamant about keeping everything within their bloodline, and they're so obsessed with their bloodline, as even the Epstein files reveal,
They don't
which
want
we just
they
talked
don't
about.
want their experiment to be contaminated.
Yeah, exactly,
So
because
then do you think that that's like more like like spiritually they're possessed, or do you think it's more
I
like they
I
physically are like
I know
have that?
both. Both. I think so. I think these, what you could call demons, or these lower dimensional entities, these lower vibrational entities, I think are able to easily latch on or easily possess, or whatever however way you want to look at it, these people. And it's almost like they're just being born in those bloodlines. You're basically being born into that, like, whether you like it or not. And it does seem like there's way you can get out of it, but you have to be very intentional about that. Otherwise, you're just kind of in that system. But the good thing, the hope here is that the fact that we're even having this conversation, the fact that all this stuff is now out there in such a massive way, The fact that we got any Epstein file, the fact that Pizzagate came, the fact that any
We're
of this
mentioning that
trafficking
stuff again.
information,
Yeah.
the fact that any of this stuff, any disclosure encompasses all of it, not just UFOs, not
Right.
just ETs and UFO. It encompasses all this stuff, right? All the
Right.
ancient civilization stuff, all of it. And the fact that we're even going back 20 years ago, look at how far we've come in 20 years, right? On a massive scale. The fact that the internet was even ever allowed to be a thing that we're all able to use freely, right? I don't think any of that would be happening, would be allowed
Right.
to happen if they had full control, if the
The
control
fact
system had
that there is
the
a
fact that any of
Hillary,
this is happening.
the fact that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are, there's an
Right,
open deposition investigation.
right.
Um,
It does seem like they are losing their power and there are higher forces at play that are there. It's kind of this balance. This is the way I always look at it. There's higher forces at play, and then us ourselves, I think, are at a higher level, are a part of that. Um, where they can't just swoop in and do the cleanup for us, right? Because there's no lessons learned in that, there's no growth in that, there's no experience in that. But they also aren't going to let the control system just go out of control where because what they want, and they now are openly saying this. Look at what the World Economic Forum has been saying for years now publicly, just out in the open,
Well,
and
that's
many other
happening.
people. They're like, we're gonna manipulate humans' DNA to where you're just these hackable animals that we control. That's literally, they're saying this openly now. Well, why didn't they do this a long time ago? Why hasn't it happened yet? And why are we shouldn't be knowing this, right? If they had full control. The fact that
right.
we're even that the information is even getting out,
Right.
It's true.
and the fact that anything of this is happening, I mean, you see the ships in the sky. I think there's so much more going on than we're told. Like, there's this whole vast
Yeah.
multi-dimensional reality going on that we're just at the very beginning stages of waking up into and kind of like coming into. But been this dark, dark, horrible control system going on the planet for thousands of years that we also have to wake up to and experience to some degree for ourselves. So I think we're at this kind of chaotic point where we're it's not that things are getting worse or darker, or it's that really what's been here the whole time is just now being revealed, and we're
Right.
just like waking up to it on a mass scale for the first time ever. So it seems like things are getting worse, and it seems like we're on this dark timeline, when in reality we're just at this kind of like fork in the road where, like you said, yeah, it could. I think the dark wanted us to go on that negative timeline, and everything they put out there points to that because that's what they want us to manifest, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And
Well,
that's what they've had planned for a long time.
yeah.
I mean, even 1984 and all these things, like that was written in like 48, he knew this stuff
Right.
way back
Right.
then, right? This is nothing new. They've had this stuff planned for a long time.
Well, yeah, like Aldous Huxley, like
All
in
the sucks,
the
yeah,
1800s,
Brave New
talking about like
World, Animal
the
Farm, all this stuff.
yeah.
Well, I want to.
But we're now waking up and given the chance to step into our sovereignty, given the chance to see what we've been in, but also take our power back and to be the ones to actually have a part in creating that new world
Right.
rather than just having it done for us.
Right.
So that's the hope I would have. And like, yeah, everything seems to get crazy with this AI and all this technology and mass surveillance and um, all this stuff. But the fact that it seems like we are being given the chance to see it and make a different choice. And I think some people are going to choose that reality. I think there's
Yeah.
going to be at least a temporary period of time where the freedom reality, the sovereignty reality, and the control enslaved reality are both going to kind of coexist. And
Right.
people are going to be given a choice. Do you want to live in that or do you want to live in that reality? And that's what I see
Yeah.
kind of happening right now.
Yeah. I was gonna say, unless you want to chime in, Nikki.
No, go ahead. I can chime in after you.
Well, it's kind of taking it back a little bit when you to your question, like, are these people actually possessed? Is it an actual physical thing? Well, I would say I would encourage your audience and you like to listen to these Illuminati whistleblowers,
Mm,
Nathan Reynolds and Bill Schnoebelen, or however you say his name.
yeah.
Um, so they both talk about once you get so high up into these secret societies, there is a literal thing where you either go werewolf or vampire. And it's explained in great detail from these guys who escaped the order, right? And they're blowing the whistle on now. Where you go, like you actually start performing rituals and calling in entities and doing things, and like you actually can like the whole concept of a werewolf is a real thing. Apparently that's like a much more painful path, not as many people do it. The popular sexy one is going vampire. And they explain it, and I know it sounds crazy, but they explain it in great horrific detail and what actually happens at these rituals, and the drinking of the blood and the cannibalism and all this stuff. And he said you're not only making a choice, your physical body, you start changing at a molecular level whenever you do
Mm.
this. And you will develop fangs. And if you look, and then this is going to sound crazy, but if you look at Miley Cyrus now, you and a lot of celebrities, you can see they're they literally you can tell that there's fangs in there. Like you can tell the people who've gone the vampire route. And he says like you once you start, you can't stop. There's no going back, And like you fiend off of human blood. Like you actually need it to survive. You stop eating physical food, and it's a horrific thing. But he said you start actually physically transforming, and your eyes will change, like the slit in your eyes, and you'll develop fangs.
Mm.
And he said that you start excreting or secreting this venomous saliva that like paralyzes the victim when you bite them. And like they have underground nightclubs where people are like doing this. So like they're all high and whatever, and then they're openly like letting these people bite them and then transform them. And it's this crazy culture that we're supposed to think is Hollywood. But when you listen to these guys, I don't believe they're lying. And they have incredible details, horrific details that you would never make up anyway. And so when we're like, okay, why are these people even able to do this stuff? Well, it's because they're making actual transformations and selling their soul in such a way that
Mm.
um, I don't know if it's irreparable. I don't know if they can go back,
I don't know. At some point, I don't know. Right. And it's like, and I do think there is points of no return, for everything. But uh it makes me think of I flew with this girl like maybe 10, 11, like really towards the beginning of when I was a flight attendant, which I've been a flight attendant 12 years. So sometime between like 12 to 10 years ago. And she had like a scar like here, and it was like through her arm and like another hair, and so she had a couple like weird marks on her hands. And she was older than me. She was probably 40 at the time, and I was 30. And I'm nosy as hell. I just ask things, right? So I was like, what are those from? And she's like, you really want to know? And I was like, yeah, I guess, right? And she was like, oh yeah, these were from the hunts. Like, and I was like, what are you talking? She's like, well, and she basically went on this horrendous thing and told me that she was sold as a child, and then they would put these like vests on her, like a bulletproof vests and helmets, and like there would be like hundreds of kids, and they would just let them loose in the wood, and these men would like shoot them with bow and arrows. And so like
That's a real
those were
thing.
the
Yeah.
places that she had gotten like whatever
Right.
caught or whatever. And I was
Mm.
like, and at the time I was like, this girl's like crazy. And I don't even think I didn't believe her at the time. I was just kind of going
Mm.
like I thought, but at the same time, I was like, why would she tell me this? Like, that's like such a weird thing to like tell a coworker, right? Um,
Right.
and then like, yeah, like she told me some awful things on this stuff, and I was like, well, why would they even let you live then? Like, why would they even let you live to tell this story? And
Right.
she was just like, she's like, I'm not telling it publicly. They'd kill me if I told this stuff publicly. I'm just telling you because you asked me. And I was like, okay. And then, and she was like, but yeah, basically one of my like raper people or something like adopted her when she was like 17 or whatever, and he kind of like set her free. But she said mostly they kill you by the time you're 18. Like like at that point, you're like,
Yeah, it's like a
and
ritual.
she's like, you get eaten. And I was like, what do you mean eaten? And she told me like, and in the hunt parties, like that said they would eat people, eat kids. And I was like, this was like 10 years ago, and this was from like a girl who like had like these weird scars that I was like,
Yeah.
I just thought like, I don't
It's
know.
in the Epstein files, the human
And
hunting parties.
well, Kathy
Yeah.
O'Brien, do you know who
Yeah.
Kathy O'Brien is? Or have you heard her testimony?
Mm-mm.
She's been speaking since what, like the late 80s or something,
Yeah.
and she
I'm
wrote a
blowing the whistle.
book in the mid 90s about her whole horrific so she was trafficked, but not just trafficked. she talks specifically about what you just mentioned, where they would let children off in the woods and then they would hunt them. She talked about this all the time,
Right.
and she said she was a part of some of those, and
Well,
she, I mean, she gets into detail that, I mean, you
I
will be
yeah,
sick to your
I
stomach.
feel bad now
It's so
because
horrific.
I didn't believe her and she probably wasn't lying, you know?
And she talks about the Clintons, specifically Hillary Clinton, raping her. She talks about, yeah, the Bushes, um,
Have you guys had her on your
many of these
podcast?
politicians and people that we
no,
all know.
we haven't.
No,
No,
but I mean, I would love to get her on. She's been on a lot of other
but
shows.
the movie, there's movies that talk, depict human hunting parties, right? The Condemned, but
Yeah,
they're hunting prisoners, not children. It's like
yeah.
they put the Condemned, I think, is like they bring these people to an island, these prisoners, and they give them a head start, and then they uh, if you survive, you get out of jail free. But then think about the Running Man. That's the same thing. The
Yep.
movie Running Man, but they sell it to us as a glorified like TV
Yeah.
show, and like and these people are like literally running for their lives, and but they're prisoners, right? So it's shown to us in movies in other ways. They just
Well,
haven't
and the
gone.
vampiric, the
Yeah,
vampire movies and werewolf movies that you just talk about, it's like,
Mhm.
man, like
Twilight.
there's elements of that's in so many
Well,
movies.
yeah,
Yeah.
and actually that Bill Schnobel and whatever his name is, he said that the Twilight is more of a documentary than people understand, but he said it's not as sexy. He
But
goes, it's that,
Right.
they
yeah,
make it all sexy and
yeah. He
like
said
very pretty
it's
designs.
actually horrible because
Yeah.
you're miserable. It's one of the most miserable lifestyles because you constantly need blood, and you like he said like you smell it and you're craving it and it's like you have to stop from like wanting to actually bite somebody. But if you, Nikki, I just sent you pictures of Miley Cyrus. You can see she never used to look like that. Like that's a
She looks crazy now.
it's a perfect example though. You can see underneath. Um,
Almost like her real puppy.
like if you're wearing those fake Halloween fangs, it pushes out your upper lip. Like that's like a telltale sign. You can tell the people who have like gone full.
And I think that is reptilian. I think
It's like the real parasite that I talked about.
that's a
Yeah,
manifestation of being a reptilian hybrid. You get these fangs, you get and the slit eyes, like you said, go
right.
seem to go along with that as well. There's Epstein victims that claim they saw him shapeshift into a reptilian.
Yeah, a number of them.
Number of them said he in front of me, right in front of me, shapeshifted into a reptilian. What's that one picture circulating recently? That's the lady with the slit eyes, like with the real wide slit eyes, looking at.
Oh yeah, I don't know her name.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Yeah,
saw that.
yeah.
I saw that one. I wasn't
That's a
sure.
real
You never know
photo.
anymore if it's AI or not. I'm like, I don't know.
Right, but it
Yeah.
seems like that's been verified as a real photo, but I'll have to double check on that. But there's so many I've seen so many that I have verified as real photos and real videos as well that it's just undeniable
Man,
at this point.
this
Okay,
conversation
so
took a whole left turn.
this is like
Yeah,
a this
yeah,
is like
It's
one of those
amazing.
crazy. If
Hey,
we
we're
would have had
keeping
this conversation in 2020, we would be banned again.
right,
right,
right, exactly.
Who knows if it'll be safe still, you know? But
right.
anyway, like, okay, but the thing is like, do you guys now that okay, is anything going to happen to anybody though? Like, is anybody going to pay consequences for this stuff?
I I literally asked
I
my
think it's
AI
already
this.
happening.
I asked my AI, says Hillary Clinton going to be arrested and said there's based on the current evidence and where we're at now, there's a 74 point something percent chance that she'll be arrested, but that could change as new evidence is surfaced. And like, okay, like, but I think that there's a likelihood that I think as a process, I think it has to make sense for people. They're already under
Yeah,
investigation publicly. I think we will, but I don't think it's going to be as quickly as people want. Um, also,
it's a process going
yeah,
on.
there's a
Also, the
process.
Yeah,
boomers don't like okay, like the boomers I know, they're just like they're like Prince
yeah,
Charles was arrested. What from the Epstein files? Who gives a fuck about that?
Right.
Like
yeah.
I've been talking to I mean I have a lot of boomers that I know and they just do not like I don't know if it's just because they're not on the social media the same way we are
They're not.
or if
And
they
they're so stuck in an old paradigm and
they are and
it's a
they
whole different mindset.
but
Yeah.
even if it doesn't matter if they're watching CNN or Fox News or whatever it is they're watching, they cannot grasp what's going on. They're just like, what?
Right.
What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Like,
What
Which is one of the main reasons I think it's taking because there's still so many boomers on the
Right.
planet, right?
Well,
That generation is on the planet.
there's that phrase, stay out of the way of the dinosaurs until they crash. Like it's just like
Right.
let them go. Like there's you're not gonna change your grandpa's mind about something he grew up doing. Like you're just not. Like it's just the way it is. And
Right.
like
Right.
so there's this generation is eventually gonna transition and like
But in like 10 years, most of them are,
right.
gonna
Yeah.
like half or more of them aren't gonna be on the planet anymore,
Yeah.
because they're already up there in age, so
And I want to bring
it might take 5 to 10 years for us to really get the disclosure that we're all kind of one thing. It might take that long. I hope not, but
and
we'll see.
exactly. And I want to bring this up. There's a movie coming out March 27th with Vince Vaughn called Mike and Nick and Alice. And it's a time traveling, double crossing, ass kicking comedy. But in the trailer, it's talking about time travel as if it's matter of fact. And like they kind of make jokes like, what do you think we've not been doing this? They mention human cloning and they mention human cannibalism, all in the form of this new comedy coming up on March 27th with Vince Vaughn. And I'm just like, the timing of this is just crazy. But I think this is how, they're priming the collective for the reality of all of this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we could go into time travel too, because it's just like, like I have unintentionally time traveled, but I think I need to
Right.
go ahead and
Right.
intentionally do it now. So, but I
Right.
think,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah, like that. I ended up that one dude who I showed you guys his
Yeah.
email, like the
Yeah.
I ended up talking
Fascinating.
with him or whatever. He was into the Wingmakers, who were time
Wingmakers.
travelers that,
Mhm.
yeah. I actually you're probably better, Tyler, at what tell people what the Wingmakers are, because
There's a factory in South Michigan that builds wings. No.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
um,
the Wingmakers. Yeah, so Wingmakers are
yeah. No. So okay. There's an ancient arrow site near Chaco Canyon. Basically, what it was is they found an artifact in the early
time
90s.
capsule.
They found a crystal artifact and they didn't know where it came from. It was out of place. It seemed to be very advanced. Years later, an earthquake occurred in the area and opened up this cave entrance. They find this cave. It's a spiral cave that goes downward. There's 23 chambers to match the 23 chromosomes in the DNA strand. And at the very bottom, there's this optical disc that took them years to finally unlock, but it contained this history of the Earth, an unknown history of the Earth and this galaxy where there's planet. And allegedly, it was unlocked with a key phrase, like a vocalization that they finally figured out. It took like an ancient, in fact, I believe it's Sumerian language. If according to the new Wingmaker website, if that's true, either way, each chamber is like this time capsule that contained paintings and objects and relics and everything from the future or past to basically assist our evolution, right? As we find this and make these discoveries, and allegedly there's more than one cave, and there's theories that all the caves connect with some sort of portal system. But this group they call themselves the Wingmakers, and there was this guy that came out as a whistleblower years ago and kind of blew the whistle on this story, and there's a whole narrative there. But group of time travelers that left artifacts behind in caves all over the world.
Yeah, and apparently, like, and there were how many others time capsules were there supposed to be after Chaco Canyon was found?
I think seven total.
Okay, so only as far as we know, just one has been found, but
No, according to the updated website, they're all found and the locations are given. So
oh,
yeah,
okay.
and then it's it nobody knows what to believe anymore, right? Because
Right.
certain details have changed, and it became this big rabbit hole, this big conspiracy theory. But at the heart of it, I think there's something true. In fact, Daniel Salter, who is Derek and Daniel,
Yeah.
their
Their
grandfather.
grandfather,
Grandfather.
yeah.
So he wrote a book called Life at the Cosmos Clearance in 2003, and the final chapter of his book was all about the Wingmakers. And
Hmm.
that was in 2003, and this is coming from a government whistleblower who had a cosmic clearance, which was like 37 or 38 levels above top secret. So he would risk his career, his credibility, and his life putting that information in a book. But he died shortly after that book came out. So who knows what really happened there? but I think there's something to it. I don't think he would have put it in the book unless he knew that there was really something to it.
Yeah, and I
Right.
think so. I had somebody email me about how they had met a wingmaker and that they wanted to go back in time themselves or whatever. And so I ended up having a conversation with him. And basically, he has deduced, or the wingmaker told him that like you can do it in, like you can go back in time through your dream body and it has to be specifically like you can switch your consciousness with like your younger self like in a dream body and go back and relive up to where you are with your current memories. And I guess I did that unknowingly. I went to
Right.
bed July 31st of 2024 and I woke up August 1st of 2023, and I had to repeat that whole year over again. So it was like midway through the year. And yeah, and it was like my groundhog year, but honestly the year wasn't the same. Like it was like like there was like there were like I always say like there was a Ninja Turtle movie that I had seen like the first
The
August around that,
female, yeah, the
the
female
female
turtles, yeah.
Ninja Turtles that didn't exist in the second reality. So I don't know if I just switched into another timeline or what happened, but like, and I kept on saying, and I knew that like, yeah, no, Biden isn't like the running mate. Like there's a girl. Like there's a girl. There's
Yeah,
not.
you already knew that.
I
Yeah.
already knew
Yeah.
that. I was like, no,
Mhm.
that's not like how it works. And I don't really care that much about politics. I'm not even that interested in sports or politics. Like I would never know who would win the Super Bowl or something like that, which is
Right.
bad because like if
Right.
I was a betting person, like that's what I should do,
Right. Yeah.
right? I should just go get rich
But
and yeah, yeah.
but
Right.
the fact that you knew that before, and no one was talking about, I mean, I don't know, maybe
No.
there's people talking about, oh, we might drop out and somebody else, but no one was talking about,
Remember, I was telling you guys that in Shasta.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah,
no, guys,
yeah,
it's a girl. Like he isn't even the running guy. Like
Right. Yeah,
I
you
think you
knew.
guys
right.
probably thought I was crazy, but I was
Right.
like,
Kamala, no
Well,
one, I don't think anyone expected Kamala Harris to be the,
yeah.
the person
right.
they were going to throw out there. And you already knew that. Yeah.
I was like, no, no, no,
Well,
that's
and
not.
it's interesting. Lily Nova, my girlfriend, people might know her. She had a similar story, not as detailed as yours, Nikki, but she didn't even know about yours at the time. Maybe she did, but she had a real weird thing happening where she was confused and felt like she had done this before, like she was repeating this whole chapter of her life. And she, she's in communication a lot with her guides or whatever. And she heard, she's like, what's going on? She was so confused and she heard, you've done this before. And she said, done what? And she heard 2025. You've done it already. Like but then she like dove into it and like, it tech like this is a war, this is a mission, it didn't work, and we had to like come back and like we're redoing it until we get it right. And
Mhm.
that's actually been described by many people as far as like looking glass technology and stuff. They'll run these probabilities and they'll even act out certain events and see how it's going to affect the timeline. When it doesn't work, they reset it and they just try again until we get on this highest timeline, which is allegedly where we're at now. But it's a
Yeah.
whole
And
rabbit.
and I think that explains like deja vu or
Yeah.
even beyond normal deja vu. I mean, I've heard many people talk about either their own experience or somebody else telling them their experience of where all of a sudden they're like, I know exactly everything that's about to happen for like hours
Right.
or the whole rest of the day.
Yeah, I
And
had
it
a 30
happens
minute
to a
one.
T, right? And you've had
I had an intense 30-minute one right after an eclipse in 2018 when uh I was in Chile. I went to the Atacama Desert to see the solar eclipse in because I missed the one in 2017. And so I went with my friends and I was like, oh my God, like it felt like I was in the middle of a flip and that I wasn't
Mhm.
the flip wasn't completing. It wasn't like it was the most uncomfortable feeling. Like I could see like the imprints of everything everywhere. And
Mhm.
it was almost like I was on a drug or something, but I was 100% sober. It was just middle of the day or it was like towards evening, and we were actually we were trying to go see the sunset, and we were in like this Vespera town with all these like murals everywhere. And I was like kept on telling my friend Martina, I was like, I'm in a deja vu and it's not ending. This is horrible. Like this is horrible. It's like I know what's gonna happen. She's like, okay, fine, Nikki. And she got sick of me saying it, so she was like, tell me, how does it end? How does the deja vu end? And I was like, okay, so we get to this. banister, and we'll see we'll find we're gonna be where we're gonna see our sunset, and there'll be this little gate, and we'll open the gate, and there'll be like this staircase all the way down. There'll be little shoes at the bottom of the staircase, and then that's when it clicks in. And then she was like, okay, like sure, like whatever. And then so we kept on going another 10, 20 minutes, and I'm just like, it felt like I was going to throw up the whole time because it felt like I was in a fun house or something. Like time
Right.
felt really warpy and weird, and like I was seeing it and then walking into it, seeing it and then walking into it, seeing in the and so it was very, very hard to process. And then we get to the place, I see the banister, and then I was like, that's it. And then she opens it, we look down, I see the stairs, I see the shoes, and then it like clicked into place, and I was back in time. And I was like, oh, and it ended, and I was super happy, but it was the most uncomfortable. I call it my 30-minute deja vu. I don't even know
Right.
what that is, but yeah, time is not what we think it is.
Right.
I
Not at
don't
all. Yeah.
I mean, if time doesn't exist and everything's happening simultaneously, it also explains deja vu because you've already, in essence, done it, you know?
Right.
Yeah, like so it's a whole
Well,
conversation.
well,
Yeah,
the way I see it is like the higher level of you, your soul or your higher self or whatever you want to say, is outside of time and space, where it's looking and it's seeing all of time and space as like
yeah.
this one thing that's already happened, right?
right.
And you could like insert itself at any point in time, technically, and it's or look at any point. And but then there's other timelines, I think, as well on top of that, so it gets very complex. But I think it's also that where it's like you can almost like get to a level where that's also how you know because you're now your consciousness somehow gets to a level outside of time and space where
Yeah,
you already know the future, you know, or yeah. But there's just so many documented cases of this that is way beyond coincidence, right? That
yeah,
you would be able to know exactly what's happening. And it's like Groundhog Day, the movie, essentially, except
right.
you're not stuck in a loop. You're just like, oh, I've already experienced this somehow,
Some
but
people
I
get
don't know how.
some people get stuck in a loop, I think, too,
I
though.
think I think that can happen too, though.
Actually, the TV show The Magicians, I don't know if it's like the adult version of Harry Potter. It's like all these
Mm.
kids
Oh
go
yeah.
to
I've
college.
seen it. It's really
Yeah.
I've seen
good.
the
It's
first
really
couple
good.
episodes. I haven't seen the first
Yeah,
one.
so
It's really good.
what
Yeah.
happens is one of the students is finds out that he's in a time loop, and the whole lesson is recognizing that you're in a time loop. Like
Mm.
it said, most people never recognize it, and they just keep doing it. It's like the whole mastering the lesson is recognizing it, and then you can get
And
break
then
out
you
of it.
and then you break
Yeah,
out. Yeah.
yeah, but most people don't know. They're not present enough to notice the
Mhm.
subtleties in reality that would indicate that they're in a time loop, and they'll just just mindlessly, aimlessly go through that.
Mhm.
And you have to like get to a point where you start paying so close to your surroundings, paying so close attention to your surroundings that you'll notice if something like you just said, Nikki, like you're like, wait, I've done this. This is this weird loop, and then because you recognize it, it's like you pass that class. You like level up, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
an
so
interesting way to look at it.
that brings me to this next point, guys. Okay, like this is like kind of like not a mean way. It's kind of like an NPC versus a real player kind of thing, this person in this reality. But
Mhm.
like okay, what do you think's going on with our we're okay, the question's going to be interesting because it's like, do you think that we really were designed to be a slave race, or what's going on? Because you have people that like, okay, I have a
I
cousin
don't.
who's like, oh, you went and you of course you went and saw a unicorn. And it's like, but it's like, you know what? I literally bought a ticket to go to the Amazon rainforest and like had my backpack on my head for a week and pooped in a hole. Like that's not like, oh, I'm the lucky one who went and saw a unicorn. I went to a really obscure place in the planet, and then I didn't watch like the football game on
Right.
like I
So
chose a different path, right?
Your
You know,
interests are like the fact that you even wanted to go, like most people would never even dream of going to that location.
yeah.
Like you went to the middle of nowhere in Colombia, but you went there because they're supposed to be the super special place that
There
you're
was supposed to be
interested
an
in.
Atlantis portal, and that's the thing
Right.
is like, but I wonder, so it's like on one hand, you could be like, well, like people are so heavily manipulated, but like so are we. So like, what's the delineation between those who choose to be like, okay, here's two paths. Do you want to like stay in and watch football tonight? I don't know why I'm picking on football so much, but whatever.
Yeah.
Or do you want to like, I don't know, watch a podcast about time travel?
Right.
Like what, why is it that some people like don't want to examine what we're in? Like they don't want to look at the game, and then some
So
people do. Like what's that
I'll
deal?
I'll answer this quickly, and then Aaron could answer a long form. So, in fact, I had a thing that went viral. Somebody had a whole conversation with their AI about NPCs and clones, and it's 6 minutes long, and they're just scrolling through it, and it's actually mind blowing, and I think it's very accurate, and it basically answers all your questions. But you asked earlier, like, do you think we were engineered as a slave race? I think, like, I know Aaron said no. I did. My answer is different in the sense that I think this physical vessel was engineered to be a slave, but I don't think they could contain the soul like they thought they could. And I don't think they accounted for things like the awakening or free will or whatever, DNA activations, whatever the thing. I think originally a physical vessel we might have been mixed with aliens and monkeys, whatever, to mine gold, whatever that story is. There might be some truth to the physical vessel, but they can't keep a lid on it, right? They can't control. They try to control, but different souls incarnate and souls come to this planet and whatever, however that works. I think that they lost control of that a long time ago. And like this experiment or whatever it was is now like we like we've taken the reins, right? And I think that it's up to us. But and like the physical vessel that is very limiting that might have been created so we can do their bidding. But now I think it's different.
Hmm. What about you,
Um,
Aaron? What do you think?
yeah, I know that's like the Anunnaki narrative that, they created us to mine gold as slaves and like
Right.
I actually don't believe that, and there's a lot of evidence that points to, well, for one, there's many experiencers or insiders that say that we are basically genetic royalty, actually. The exact opposite of that almost, where we have like 20, at least 22 different ET genetics all mixed together. And therefore, we're actually considered genetic royalty throughout the whole galaxy. We've just been there seems to have been, you know, going back to Atlantis times, there was some kind of like corruption that happened where it caused the downfall, and then all the memory that we used to have has been gone. Where we're like Graham Hancock always says, we're like a species with amnesia. Well, I think that did happen at a certain point in time where we lost our memory of who we really are as a species and what our history is and all this stuff. Now we're just kind of like living blind, you know, not knowing who we are, what to believe, or whatever anything is, until you go on that journey yourself and start kind of putting the pieces together, right? Well, so on top of that, what is it? Chromosome 2, right? Chromosome 2 uh, has been fused. And this is scientific, this is mainstream science, like knows this. This is nothing super hidden. Our chromosome number 2 has been fused in a way that does not happen organically. It's not like evolution just did that, right? It's clearly some kind of intelligence fused that chromosome uh, and it says it was done like 400,000 years ago, right? So way, 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 way long ago. I think what happened is it seems like there was an organically evolving hominid species on the planet that these other ET races that were living here, this is like, this is at least Lemurian times, if not before, that they basically put their genetics into and did that and created us, essentially. And this is actually the books, the Sasquatch Message to Humanity. There's three different books that was supposedly this channeled information from this Sasquatch like elder.
Hmm.
And it talks about how they say that in that book as well. They say, yeah, you guys were basically the exact same beings, ET races that created us, also created you guys. So you guys are basically like our younger brother, our younger sibling.
Yep.
They say that there was a different hominid species that these exact same ET races put their genetics into millions of years before us and created them. That's how the Sasquatch say they're like we've been around for like for millions of years before you guys. But then those same races, millions of years later, and a
Well,
different hominid species put their
so
genetics into and created you guys. But then whenever this latest Atlantis civilization, whenever that collapse happened, you guys lost your memory, and then these controllers who were they retained enough memory, they retained enough knowledge to basically have this power dynamic to where they're like, okay, now we're gonna enslave you guys. And I think we were used to mine gold, but I don't think they created us. I think that's the lie that they
Okay.
told
You
us so
think we
that
were
we believe.
manipulated into it,
or
but
or
Right, right,
at the
right.
very least, I'm gonna say this. I think that maybe a select group of humans was tampered with, like there were
That's
genetic
possible.
engineering,
That's
like,
possible too. Yeah.
and then maybe we become these mutts, right? But also I do agree, like, so both could be true in a sense. I also agree that with the genetic royalty thing, because if you really look at us, like we're poisoned on all fronts, like from
Yeah.
every angle. And the
Yep.
fact that we're
yeah,
able
from
to
our air to our water to our food to everything. Yeah.
Exactly. Jabs.
frequency to
Yeah.
and like you
Everything.
literally your clothes, everything.
EMFs. Yeah. Everything.
The fact that we're able to not only survive but thrive in a sense, like I think it perplexes other races out there. Then that they find us very interesting because we've adapted and overcome so much. Like this DNA is considered very valuable because of
Very
like
resilient.
yeah, very
Hmm.
resilient, right?
Yeah.
Where allegedly other races they can't even breathe our air, they can't do anything because of the toxicity of it,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
they've
They
been in
would.
such a pure environment for so long. So they're
Mhm.
very interested in why we're able to like how are they even still standing, type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
I
that
wonder
being
that
said,
myself.
real quick, going to the why are some people like act like these NPCs, and some people, and others are like, we're all interested in this stuff and we're talking about consciousness and all this. I think I think there are clones, 100%. I think there are genetic factors going on there in clones for sure.
Yeah.
And I think another reason is like on a soul level. I think there are just to put it simply, there's newer souls and there's older souls.
Mm.
And I think those of us that have like, we've already been at that level a long time ago on a soul level. We've already had many incarnations and places where we've been at that level, and now we're at a place where we don't need we're just naturally automatically go up to here. Whereas like they're still they can't think at that way. It's too much, right?
Their soul's evolution isn't quite there yet. Like,
You're
yeah.
right. They need many more hundreds or thousands of lifetimes or however many, where they're doing this kind of stuff. And then they'll start being like, wait a second, what is really going on? Start asking these
Right.
They're
questions,
not
and
curious yet. Yeah.
they're not curious. And if we've all talked to people like this, right? Where it's like you're like talking to a brick wall. They're just like they
Like
couldn't be less interested.
how do you not
Right.
see it?
You're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
or they can't see all the stuff that we're seeing. It's like right in
Right.
your face. And you're like, how are you not seeing like,
Right.
how do you not getting the, and it's
I
like,
mean, sometimes when I talk to
you
people,
can't
like there's like a glaze where it's like
glaze
it's
over it.
not even
Right.
The
like they're insulted by me or they just literally don't understand the
their
words coming out of
subconscious
their mouth.
mind, they check out and they don't even realize they're doing it. It's like what do they call the fluoride stare? Like it's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the pineal gland isn't open. And they're not hearing you. They're not receiving the download
No.
behind your words, whatever it is.
They're at a different
Um,
frequency. They're at a
yeah,
completely different frequency. Yeah.
yeah. So
And
I
it's
mean,
not, and again, it's not saying, well, we're better than
and
it's just at a different place. That's
and
it.
then
You're
you
just
want to
at a
get
different
real
place.
crazy with it. You can talk about the whole Great Reset in the late 1800s and the Cabbage Patch Kids
Yeah,
And then there's
exactly.
and
Do all
the
that.
and then there's
Tartaria stuff and the
And
reset
then, yeah,
stuff. Yeah. And then there's all that.
all the people that remembered the past were thrown in insane asylums, and then we had these orphan trains and these Cabbage
Yeah.
Patch Kids, and then allegedly those are the lineage of the NPCs now.
I
Like
mean, I used to think that was Will Wackadoo, but I mean, there could be elements of that, honestly. Who knows?
there's a movie called Patch Town or something like that. Have you seen
Oh,
it?
it's crazy. Yeah.
It's like a
Crazy.
really bad musical, but it's like kind of a disclosure about this cloning factory, but they're growing these Cabbage Patch Kids, and like these dolls actually. It's a whole weird thing. But anyway, it has a lot to do with mind
And
control.
and that's
And
probably where the actual Cabbage Patch Kids,
Come
right,
from.
the dolls,
Yeah.
yeah.
it seems random. Like, why are they these Cabbage
But but
Patch
it
Kids? Well,
but it's
where
the
it came from.
people that they grow in the movie that are actually working in the factory that are creating more of them. So and they're all under mind control. And then how did they break the mind control at the end of the movie? the one guy like wakes up. The one guy wakes up and he's trying to wake everyone else up and like, listen, like you're being created. We're mind controlled, and he plays a song over the in the factory, and the song hijacks the MK Ultra frequency and it snaps them out of their trance. So I think there's disclosure in that. A lot of people have talked about like hijacking that frequency can be done with another frequency or even a song. And so there's something to that. So I think
Well, yeah,
maybe
So
these
that's
people,
I
when they
think
don't
that
get it,
ties.
just play a song.
I think that also
right.
ties back into the very beginning to the grid work, where I think like part of like a download I've gotten is that like we're literally figuring out how to break the Skynet. Like there's a Skynet
Mhm.
over us.
Right. Oh
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah.
you know,
definitely.
like one aspect of it is like I mean, I just watched this video today about like look maxing and like that
Looks
but it was
back.
about like how like it basically all goes back to the transhumanist like people are literally like using hammers to called like bone smashing to like make their cheek but like I mean the look maxing thing is crazy. It's
Yeah,
all like it gets
Yeah.
into a level where it's like almost self-deprecating hatred of your own image to a point where you think there's just this one model like it's a eugenics, it's basically like a kind of
yeah,
eugenics that's been imposing on the Zoomers with you know like Peter Thiel and a whole bunch of these other people like kind of like backing it for a while, and you have
Hmm.
um to a point where it goes into okay, we have got to so like that's like a form of a hurricane of manipulation that's using the internet in a bad way for the youth. And then you have like I've talked about or like Joaquin's talked about like the mecha cube. You have 1/5 of the population like vectoring their consciousness to this black cube and circling it counterclockwise. Like there are like these mechanisms that are in existence. I'm sure there's more, you
Yep.
know. I think all of our broken pyramids and buried pyramids, like a lot of stuff that is sort of keeping the frequency at a level.
Yep.
right.
And
100%.
part of grid working is it doesn't even have to be that many of us. Enough of us have to be conscious of like these hurricanes, these storms that are energetic, and we have to reverse the spin. We have to literally like help bring down Skynet. And then
Right.
that I think will be good.
Well,
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
100% what you're alluding to about these people like worried about their looks and transhumanism and gender mutilation, all the other stuff, like that is, I mean, it's literally for one, mind control, but
Yep.
two, it's like what socially constructed insecurities. Like it's all done intentionally. Like they have the Instagram model for a reason. And these AI models, they all look perfect. None of them look like an overweight McDonald's eating 40-year-old Walmart shopping person. Sorry. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's, they're creating these insecurities through social
TikTok
media.
algorithms
Yeah, TikTok,
pushing
right.
the same
And
stuff that everybody,
so it's, and then unfortunately, that if you're not self-aware, you're gonna literally like everything's bandwidths and airwaves, right? You're just gonna get like caught in that airwave like a leaf in the wind, and you're gonna literally not understand that that's the bandwidth that you are residing in, and that's the only reality that you can see. And it's like a mind control frequency, really. And you have to, that's why you have to be self-aware and like go in and do all the work so you can recognize like, okay, this isn't even, I'm not acting of my own volition now. This isn't even my thought. Like, why am I having these feelings about this? Like, you're not self-reflecting. And like, so these NPCs are essentially a good, or like a real soul could be hijacked and appear to be like an NPC because of the programming. But I think some
Mhm.
people are savable, right? I think some people
Yeah.
can snap out of that,
Yeah.
but then I do think there's other aspects like synthetic humans or clones or whatever that potentially won't necessarily, you know, understand what they're not acting of their own volition, right?
Yeah, and
So
I also think sometimes people like don't like their full soul isn't in their canister that they're talking about. Like
Well, that
their soul isn't actually in their body. Like they're just
that
like
too.
that's 100% the
Yeah.
case.
5% of them's in there, man. They're just
In in
functional.
in fact, when we
Absolutely.
did our clone webinar, some of the information we came across because we were asked, there's, you know, material about do clones have souls, and they have a soul fragment, and there's another part of their soul that's like constantly trying to enter the body, but it's not like a crystalline, like it's not a actual organic body, so it can't, and it's like creating this weird resistance, and the person will never like they can't integrate their full soul, so therefore they're going to be controllable.
Yeah, for your body to be animated, there has to be some amount of soul in there.
Right.
Otherwise, you'd just be a lifeless body. You know, there has to be some consciousness in there. But yeah, it definitely appears that I think you're spot on. I think a lot of people, it's almost like there's only a tiny part of their soul, maybe, like, and then the rest is not even in their body. Or like Tyler said, I think a lot of clones are intentionally manufactured that way, intentionally, so they are these kind of like drone slaves that just do
Or
what they're programmed.
or like Leah Ray said, we interviewed her. She was a massage therapist who she's like a crazy empath and she could see like entities and stuff on people. And she had to
Yeah,
quit her job because
entities.
she was massaging people in Miami, professionally for like high level people. And she had to quit because when the jab started being administered, she started seeing all these people coming in with demonic or entity attachments.
Hmm.
And she was like, "Oh my God," she realized what this whole purpose was. She goes, their soul had taken a back seat to the entity that was now in
Yeah.
control of the body, that the actual jab was consent to allow something foreign into your body, not just a physical ingredient, but an entity. And there,
Yeah.
so there's actually these people that aren't necessarily like it's not them anymore like they used to be. And a lot of
Yeah. It's
people,
something else.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
something else.
It's not a human being. It's
So,
not.
and
Yeah.
so she actually had to quit because it was breaking her heart because she had clients for years that got the jab and they weren't the same and she could see it, but they couldn't. And it was breaking her heart and she couldn't do it anymore. And
Oh man.
yeah, so it's like we don't understand like
Yeah.
this is a spiritual war at a level that most people aren't even ready to comprehend yet.
And I think the COVID jab was meant to be. That's why they were. Why do you think they were pushing that so hard?
Very hard.
Like, look how hard they pushed that.
That was meant to be checkmate.
That wasn't even just for depopulation, in my opinion. That was for what you just said, Tyler. That's like spiritual warfare through
Right.
medicine.
But
You know.
it's funny because it's like it didn't even fully work either. You talk about how
Right.
resilient we are. I
Right.
mean, I
100%.
think it was supposed to be way worse and way more effective than it actually was. Because like
Oh yeah.
I've met people who've woke up post it
Yeah.
and like that
Yeah.
I can sense or they're there. So it's just like
Yeah.
that I even like that even that didn't work for them.
Yeah. I agree.
Exactly.
I think
Exactly.
there's it's like a case study, like a small percentage might work, but there's these unknowns and these variables, and a lot of it is experimental. They don't have long-term studies or results to go by, so they're just kind of monitoring everyone in real time, seeing how it's actually taking, right? So taking hold or not taking hold. And I think that's the case with a lot of like even mind control or mind wipe technology or mind erasure
Right. It
technology.
doesn't 100%
Yeah,
work.
like early on, they were doing it to all these people, not understanding like maybe 20 years down the road, this person might start to get memories back, you know. It wasn't foolproof, it was all experimental. And I think that explains why some people snap out of it because they don't
Why we
really
have so
have,
many whistleblowers and stuff.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Or just why the jab didn't take for so many people. And they're transmuting it now. And there's ways to detox and
Mhm.
heavy, a great place to start with that is heavy metal detox. But
Yeah, and we have a friend here in Massachusetts actually that she's like an energy worker practitioner, and around the heart of COVID times when the jab was new at that time, she was having all these clients that were jabbed that she said literal black stuff was coming out of them. Like she's like physically, she like had it collected in these bowls or something, like literal black stuff with like specks in it,
yeah.
were coming out of these people and then she's just doing energy work. She's just like doing energy
Yeah.
work on these people, and there's physical stuff
Because
manifesting coming out.
the body's going to reject it naturally if it can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then whenever you have energy work being done, something assisting it, then it's allowing it to, move through you.
yeah,
And it doesn't, it's like a foreign ingredient that doesn't belong. So,
Yeah, I don't
right.
think it was good for you, but I still do think a lot of this human spirit can overcome stuff like that. So that's
yeah,
just
I
Oh,
agree.
it's
100%.
really it's just crazy how there's is a diabolical plan
Again,
sometimes.
again,
Right.
like another testament to how powerful we actually are and why they have to do so much just to kind of keep us under and just
Right,
to
Right.
keep a
right.
certain percentage of people, like we are so much more powerful, and the second enough of us wake up to that, and I think that's happening, and that's again the hope I see is like people are waking up. There is an awakening happening, and it's they know at a certain point it's game over when a certain percentage of people wake up, right?
And
And,
I
and
think
come online.
I think it's coming. I think a lot of the percentage
It's
is
coming.
coming. Yeah.
Right.
It's coming, but they're doing everything they can to try. They're throwing Hail Marys now, right? To
Right.
try to steer us back on this
Yeah.
negative timeline. It's not
100%.
going to work, in my opinion, but they're going to
Yeah.
keep trying to the better end, right?
Yeah.
So that's why there's
Okay,
so much
guys.
chaos.
Well, dudes, like this has already been 2 hours and it's been super fun. And we actually should do this more because, like, I love talking to you guys. Obviously, like, we're friends in real life. I travel with you, all this shit. Yeah, so give people, like, if there's anything else you want to say, like, say a little message and then plug yourselves.
Yeah, really quick, just keep it brief. Well, first of all, thank you for having us on. This was actually
Yeah,
incredible. Like
it's a blast.
I loved every second of it. It flew by. If people are interested in anything we do, journeytotruth.online has everything we do. Our conferences, our books, our Patreon. You can find links to our YouTube, our Rumble, our social medias. It's all there. So you can, that's a one easy one-stop shopping. But if you are interested in joining us in Hawaii, I would grab your ticket now, secure your spot. There's only a few spots left, and it's right around the corner, April 20th. If you can swing it, we'd love to see you there. And if you can't make it, there's virtual passes. So that's all I have to say. We just are grateful that you had us on to talk about this, and it was absolutely fascinating. So
Oh, and also I will say I belong to their Patreon, and I always like join a lot of people's Patreon, and then I like quit after a while. But I've been on their Patreon forever because they always post like these like crazy cool like old school like
Yeah,
whistleblower
videos.
testimonies and stuff that
right,
you can't really find online that much anymore. I don't even know how you guys do this, but it's just like a really cool curated thing. So if you're gonna do Patreon, they actually have an active good one. So there you go.
yeah. Thank you,
Thank you. And we do
thank you. Oh, yeah,
webinars as well,
right.
and other original content as well.
And so we're actually, this is, well, we haven't even announced it yet, and we're silly for not announcing it, but we created a second tier where we're going to do
And that.
in person, like Zoom Q&As. So like people are going to be able to join the Zoom call and like have face-to-face chats with us and ask us questions and discussions and stuff. It's going to be a tier two thing once a month that we're going to do. So um, the regular tier is $5 and second tier is $10. So if you're
So if you want
interested
to,
and I think when did we schedule it for, Aaron? The 22nd or something?
yeah. 22nd of this month. Yeah.
Yeah, so Sunday the 22nd is going to be the first one. So if you guys are interested, sign up for tier two and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Ask us anything you want.
And is there anything else you want to say, Aaron?
No, just thank you so much for having us on. This was a blast. This was an amazing conversation. I knew it would be. Um, and yeah, just thanks so much. It was an honor and it was a pleasure.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Bye. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.